and welcome to Round Robin. I'm your host, Robin McCormick, Director of Communications and Marketing for the City of Hampton. And today we're going to talk about heart disease. It's a topic that pretty much affects everyone, a family member. We all know someone with this issue, and a little bit more about what we can do. My guests today are Tracy Borchak, I'm so sorry, from the Heart Association, and Kevin Spence, whose day job is with the Hampton Coliseum. But today you're here as the city's coordinator for the Heart Walk.
Correct.
So tell us, first of all, what the Heart Walk on the Peninsula is, where, when, and then why.
Sure. The Heart Walk on the Peninsula will take place October 13th, which is a Saturday. Our festivities begin at 9 a.m. and
Festivities?
Yes, festivities. Okay. We try to be very festive. You know, I like to kind of bill it as more of a health fair. We'll have Hampton University students out there giving blood pressure screenings, blood glucose screenings. Those are two key indicators as to what your risks are for heart disease and stroke. We'll have a nutritionist out there. We're going to have activities for the kids, a bounce house, photo booth, clowns, you know, everything that you can think of, while the parents can learn a little bit more about how they can prevent heart disease and stroke, how they can keep their children healthy into adulthood. So that's from about 9 to 10, and then the walk kicks off at 10. And it's just under a 5K. If you can't finish, that's okay. We don't mind. We just want to get people out there and, you know, take that first step towards health, and the event takes place at Newport News City Park.
Okay, that's great. And Kevin, why are you involved? What's your role in this year?
Well, I've been with the city 7 years, and every year the city has participated in the drive. And initially I volunteered as a team captain, and then this year I stepped up to help coordinate it for the city. And the real reason is, as you said, it personally affects me. Before I had just an interest in health and long life, but about 4 years ago my mother passed away due to a heart-related ailment, and so now it's a personal thing, and I'm motivated.
That's interesting. And this is a fundraiser,
yes,
right? So that's a part of it. And how does the money come in? Is it a registration fee, or do you get pledges?
Right. It is actually free to register. We want everyone to come out there, you know, whether it's your dog, your grandma, your neighbor. So we don't want to turn anyone away, because we are all about education, and this is a great way to get our information out into the community. However, we do ask that people try to do some fundraising. You know, ask your friends and family, $5 here and there. It really adds up, and that money does come back to Hampton Roads. We have grants that we fund here at EVMS. We have educational events in the community, so every dollar really makes an impact. So we do ask people to register and then try to, you know, raise as much funds as they possibly can. And then we do have some incentives along the way. If you raise $100, you'll get a t-shirt, so on and so forth. And then we try to make it fun for our participants as well by offering, you know, send some emails, ask your friends for donations, win a gift card throughout the way. So, you know, we do ask that people do some fundraising, because this is our signature event. The most money that we raise is through Heart Walk here in Hampton Roads, but we do not turn anyone away.
And that is the other part of it is, you know, heart disease, there are heart disease issues you cannot control.
Right.
But so many of them are diet and lifestyle factors. And so each of us has that ability to, you know, potentially influence our own health and longevity. And so that the information and education piece really is huge here.
Yeah, and that's why it's a heart walk. They've done some research, and just walking regularly 30 minutes a day is an activity that's simple to start, and some of the research said was that it's the one that people most likely are to continue with. So it's something that you can prolong your life by a very simple activity, and it's a beginning.
That's huge. And you work with kids too, maybe not exactly the Heart Walk. I mean, there are things for kids, but I remember every year as a parent, my kids, when they had PE, would come home with the jump rope thing, which was also a fundraiser, but also an exercise, health, educational thing. And it's so important to start with kids, because you want to tell us a little bit about heart disease and trends?
Sure, well, absolutely. Right now, and I'm sure this has been in the media a lot, but childhood obesity is on the rise, and it's very scary. And we project in 20 years, 60% of our population is going to be obese.
Boy, I just read that, and that's huge. And frankly, in some of our southern states, and Virginia's not quite as bad as some, but it is worse in the South. It's a historical diet and other patterns that we really need to change.
Right, exactly. And so we, for years, have been in the schools with our Jump Rope for Heart and the middle schools Hoops for Heart, just to try to get get children when they're young and impressionable and start instilling those things that we want them to value, like exercise. So that's one program that we do. And then along with the Heart Walk, we do have something that just launched last year. It's called our Teaching Gardens. And we do have a pilot in Virginia Beach, and then we actually just received funding to bring some teaching gardens to the peninsula. And basically that program is a very research-based. Everything we do has been researched for years and years, so we know it's going to be effective, or at least we hope. We go into schools, elementary schools, with a curriculum and give them the resources to build a community garden in their schools. And the curriculum kind of goes along with growing your own vegetables, putting it in the dirt, maintaining them, harvesting them, and then eating them. And research has shown, if kids really can get that hands-on experience with a cucumber, they're more likely when they go to the grocery store with their mom and say, I'm sure they'll ask for chips too, but let's get some cucumbers. I just grew that at school, and I learned about why it's important. So that's just a new initiative that we have to combat childhood obesity. And we know that obesity leads to heart disease and stroke, and we know high cholesterol leads to those things, and too much salt intake. So we're really trying to gear a lot of our efforts more towards the family unit, because let's face it, mom and dad do make those nutritional decisions for children.
Right.
And so if we can try to influence that child, at the school where we have this garden, one of the students came to the principal and said, why don't we have a salad bar in our schools for our lunch? I mean, this is a fourth grader after they gotten involved with our garden, and so they were able to influence school and bring in a salad bar. So, I mean, we know it works, and so that's something that we're really trying to combat, because we know obesity does lead to heart disease and stroke. And I was reading something just yesterday about how it's going to become a national concern that we might not be able to staff a military in about 50 years, because we won't have people who are physically fit enough or healthy enough to be in the military.
Certainly, there already are more people who don't qualify,
right?
Who can't make that cut.
Right. So that's just a small snapshot of what we're trying to do at the Heart Association, and just try to get people exercising. It's one small change will make a huge impact. And so you hear people are scared, they don't want to start running, or they don't want to lift weights, and they think they can't do it, but everyone can walk. And even just 10 minutes a day, build up your endurance, and that's what the Heart Walk's all about.
Tracy, do you have, is heart disease an issue in your family or with people you know?
It's an issue with everyone. Ironically, today is actually my 1-year anniversary at the Heart Association, and right before I took this job, my mom had been diagnosed with, I don't actually know the exact term because I'm not a scientist or a doctor, but had a leaky valve, and they had thought she might need to have a valve replacement. And really, they were able to put her on a medication that did not require surgery, and she's doing very well. And that is really due in part to the research efforts of the American Heart Association. So I didn't know I was going to be touched by heart disease until it was put right in front of my face, and I had this opportunity to come work for the Heart Association, so I did.
Well, that's great. Yes. And it is those, connections. I know my grandmother died of congestive heart failure. She smoked for a good 50 years. So we know now, and in fact have made big inroads in reducing smoking and making people healthier in that regard. Right. So if we can apply that same sort of enthusiasm and education and effort toward physical activity and changing our diets and watching what we eat, we can make ourselves healthier.
Yeah. Isn't heart disease the #1 killer of men and women in America?
Yes, it is.
And so there's nothing more insidious and that we need to get rid of.
Absolutely. And we are also the Stroke Association, because a lot of these same factors cause both diseases, and a lot of the same preventative measures are for both diseases as well. So heart disease is the #1 cause of death, and stroke is the #4.
Yeah, cancer's #2, I think, because they lump them all together.
Right.
But.
So it is, I mean, it's a big issue and people don't think about it. And to your point of smoking, I think people think that they're going to die of lung cancer if they smoke, but really smoking is one of the #1 causes of heart disease and heart attack. And so we're very, we try to educate people about that, because if you don't know, you don't know. And so a lot of people I speak to are like, oh, I know smoking's bad for me in general, but I didn't realize the direct correlation between heart disease.
It has a lot of correlations to a lot of diseases,
it does.
Unfortunately.
It does.
But it is an example of how that is no longer as prevalent as it was, or as culturally accepted as it was. So somehow we've got to move toward making exercise more a part of things, and healthier food choices more a part of our lives, or well, we just can't pay the bill. We will lose too many people too early, and the health costs will not be affordable by anyone. So, well, thank you for stopping by today. Is there anything I've forgotten to ask?
Well, we just want you to visit our website, which is hamptonroadsheartwalk.org.
Okay.
And then just to learn more information on heart disease and stroke, you can get healthy recipes. I mean, a slew of resources, heart.org.
Heart.org, okay. And that date again for the Heart Walk is, Kevin?
October 13th, the second Saturday in October. Come
Great.
down and join us. It's a lot of fun.
Well, great. And even if people feel like they can't make the whole walk, they can come out and get some educational information, have some fun, and do what they can, because you have to start somewhere.
Absolutely. And I think I can speak for the City of Hampton. Join one of the City of Hampton teams.
Yes.
Everyone's accepting members, and we'd love to have you.
Yes.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, Tracy. And
Thank you,
Kevin.
Thanks.
Thank you.
And thank you for watching this episode of Round Robin. I hope you've learned a little bit about heart disease, and we'll think about, some ways to make healthier choices, or join us for the Heart Walk on October 13th. Thank you.